of Nyama Esie, a lot of information about out from Kennedy Agyapong, a lot of allegations that were made against ANAS. Say it wouldn't crumple Ahmed Swale, you know. At a point, Kennedy was insinuating on radio and on TV, say ANAS Nimhubi. A lot of things were said by Kennedy Agyapong. He even went further to have a whole documentary session at his premises. Or Tunidin, who watches The Watchman, Obo video, trying to create the impression that whatever ANAS put out initially as the original documentary, you know, he has the original tapes that were hidden and all that. Now, fast forward, ANAS felt to say there was a lot of allegations made. He thought he needed to clean himself because of the reputation he carries and also his work or ended up in New Jersey in a court. To make it easy for us, we are one of the lawyers for ANAS, and I want to state again, Udini Evans Selassie Adika, renowned lawyer. Bepacho, can you run us through how it started and how we got to know today, say, a judgment in the New Jersey court? Abba.
Okay, Mr. P. You know, the interesting thing is, I quite remember that you were sued in the U.S. sometime in 2021.
Yes.
And that actually caused my clients to begin inquiring about possibly if there was anything out there, whether it will be actionable in the U.S. Mm. So you have some significance to today's events. So shortly after, when you were going through your motion to dismiss, we actually took a keen interest in that case and reviewed all the pleadings. Mm. And during that time also, my client informed me of a video that was circulating on social media. I just say, and someone just like what kind of about my client. So, like, you know, as the intellectuals that we are, we started opening the books and try to see where we can lay a claim. And so, interesting enough, I mean, after reviewing the video, I you know, in our training, there's something that we are taught. So, in your case, no, it has to pass the test, and the case has to stand on all fours, which means that you do an analysis of whether there's jurisdiction in place, whether you have all the elements of each claim that you want to bring, you know. So we went through all of that, and my conclusion was yes, on the basis of video now, my client is send them, you know. You tweet back court New Jersey. Yes, and say, yeah, papa no video no so yeah, papa na and the new some say or kase free fee New Jersey. Now when you say you move for so no the diaspora is very important. Obviously, what you do is testament to that fact. And you know, there was an audience that he spoke to. We're Ghana for. They all take a keen interest in the happenings in Ghana, especially the politics in Ghana. So we thought, you know, there was solid grounds for us to be in the court in New Jersey. So I advised my clients accordingly. Now, when you say, so no, a lawyer. So obviously, he was an integral part of what was going on in the preparatory stage. At that time, I am a U.S. trained lawyer, but I currently only practice in Ghana. And you know, there was a team of us. I'd like to say congratulations to my learned colleague Oded Crow. He was a part of yes, he was counsel of record in Ghana. So I put him into the research, and we drafted a complaint. And like a lawyer, so we did the work, and he actually filed it himself. So you know, after the preliminary back and forth, you know, initially, the case was we sued in 2022.
Okay. Yes.
We filed suit sometime, I think.
The complaint.
Yeah, sometime, I think, in the summer of 2022.
May 17th, 2022.
Yes. And you know, by law, no, there was a period by which Papa no Anka was or responded with what is known as an answer. But so Papa no one filed a response, and my case no call into default. Now, after a period of default, you can actually go for judgment. Now, a case near Fale, we filed on 3 counts. But I couldn't say or say a chrome or a chrome 4. The second one was or you would in terms of onuna or behind the medal of Yenuya Ahmed Swale.
Yeah.
Now the third one so say Yenuya no a serial killer in terms of Woku Chinese for Bibrebi Ghana. And then the fourth one is or a criminal, the blanket word criminal. And then the fifth one by implication or say onuna behind Woody Sembiana, that means say Abiana and no a trigger man and also no will be second and I say perform the physical act that led to the foreseeable events, which is Obi a. So we also included a count that he is that he claims that my client a co-conspirator in multiple serial killings. So that was basically the gravamen of our complaint. And when it went on undefended after the response time now, we began to make preparations to move for judgment. But being that I was in Ghana and we are all based in Ghana, we reached within our network and we partnered with 2 brilliant lawyers who I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate. Okay. Atawemega Esquire, he was the father figure of the team of lawyers, and a brilliant trial lawyer by the name of Andrew Dehere. These are all brilliant Ghanaian lawyers on this case. And, at that point, we recruited them as counsel of record. And, the case went, at that point, Kennedy's lawyers came in, obviously, because near Beji judgment for the full $30 million. And so he had counsel, and counsel came and also did his thing. Reopen default, they argued that they had a solid defense. And I think right around then, and I almost got judgments from Ghana, almost really see it. And I don't know, so say almost defense to case I because New Jersey.
We need Ghana, so our case no
exactly.
It's only no almost case. Okay.
So as defense against, but the interesting thing is that the defamation sits here, say kind of the work of court. It's a separate case.
Yeah.
It's not to mean to Ghana and family defending way. You still have to prove the truth of it. And this time, in this jurisdiction, the law is the same essentially because Ghana but you sound so free other countries. There are certain times that even though any of presidential value, I just said, dead into me, so India, but we to me the two who na senior or the two more, especially in cases maybe you decided that type of a case. And Emrano is the same as Ghana. Procedurally, there are certain nuances, sometimes in terms of certain dates, you have to do certain things by, and also in New Jersey, Emra drafted complaints. We were fully aware that we were required to prove what we were claiming by a higher standard than in Ghana.
Yeah.
Yes, in this case, and not even that. In this case, we were required to prove our case not by the normal civil standard, but by a clear and convincing evidence standard. Okay. And they responded with that, and they were able to successfully reopen the default, which paved way for them to file an answer. And they filed an answer which essentially claimed that there was some sort of back and forth between him and ANAS. And we took it for what it's worth, and we forged on. And we finally got our trial date sometime earlier this year, and it was postponed. And then we finally went to trial last Monday. We started trial on Monday, and we put up our case. My client testified. He testified. He brought other witnesses, and after listening to both sides. Senior answer na ever try case the difference between what happened with Ghana and see Johannes say trial by jury and judge or judge back one I say judge me no I say judge me and send a bit but normal people among the streets of New Jersey, tax-paying citizens, and a twin from. In this case, we started off with veneer. That's the technical word for when the prospective jurors are brought in. We are from a veneer. The veneer of 60 citizens, taxpaying citizens of the state of New Jersey, specifically Newark, New Jersey, and its surroundings, were brought in, and after what is known as Boadaya, which is the process by which they are questioned to see if they have any sort of bias or anything that will stand
for Ghana for your vetiomo. Say
yeah, vetiomo just said obi nim asem won bi anaso onimu bi a asem we fan ho anase obi wo hwa bi a nyame bi osom no. So we went through all of that. That was day one. That took from Area to the end of the day. And so on Tuesday, we came to court and we had our opening statements. They had their opening statements. And then we proceeded to put on our evidence. And at the close of the evidence, the jury was instructed, Judge, in this case, Judge, Emrano. Na Omodiama. Jury no make church mu on making kan chro mu first no mo asan so amomo paper mo de be ko inside akwa decide the different deliberations me nim dey so be kan twimu but me so say me ka almost the person okay abobo okay and you know you dey ask me more about Thursday about 4:30. Yeah, I didn't church from running now, and there are some more 4:30. Into now, I dream say we be an 4:30. No, caught a pump right around that time, which is I believe consistent with the practice in I know it's consistent with the practice in Ghana. Into no, no cry. I dream so. Be at Nana. Take a deep breath and reflect on what has transpired during the past 4 days. And about 20 minutes later, we got word that the jury. So as part of the defense, I think it's only fair that Meka charges counts na the buy and the civil claims na the buy. His defense was also although Oka said it was some sort of just based banter between him and Uniano, he came to court and asserted truth as his defense. And so
time I caught to say sa counting na mode bono no say on ANAS back and forth, right? The only claim or make it. Or say a banter, I just say we can't wait to and share or no, they're not all can you say ubi to be more almost tomorrow.
But all you do court with that was not
and your son of okay, Ura court no G2.
Yeah, be or maintaining the position say no can or the standing by no kind.
Okay.
Basically, remember just or practice no crane di no onye boni bia.
Okay.
So to support that, or the move you try your internet to who watches a watchman. But the announced by as on only defense, and so the jury had the opportunity to evaluate that and factored that in the analysis. And obviously, it was not the weight that they wanted the jury to accord with. So jury never bugui. About 20 minutes later, the jury came back with a verdict, and there were a multiplicity of very quick. And there was a multiplicity of questions that were posed to the jury. That's the way how they arrived at the decision. It's and also unanimous. People who were picked off the streets of not picked off the streets of New Jersey, but they're from based on address, voter registration data. And but within 20 minutes, they saw through everything and said no. So they came back and there was not even one juror that sided with Yapapana Samuakam.
All against
8-0 on every count and on every question that was posed to the jury, including damages now about no Biedun Komono. And also there was a unanimous decision. I just say it was a solid decision of the jury. 20 minutes on taking on said there was no doubt in our presentation to what you know, you kind of lay people. These are not experts in the law.
Yeah, they are just
these are lay
ordinary people who just sat and used their common sense to come to a conclusion.
No. I would not say use their. I would not say use their common sense.
They listen to you and they listen to the other part. It makes sense though.
And then the law, the law is the law. No judge in this world has any power to bend the law. You know, that sort of conduct is what causes strife and war in places.
Yeah.
You know, America had the judge actually before the judge ever kind jury instruction, but catch jurors and say, oh no, only to be it's asem we mu na no edwuma kwa obetwan say obeka mra achiro mo achiro mo. And you know, that's how it went. But you know what's interesting about Nisi and you know, or a lawyer ni contrary, even though people don't give him credit for that.
At least Bonidina Muhu ANAS asem na working.
But ANAS, ANAS. Also a very astute lawyer. And you know, and some people walk cry on Jintumu, but sometimes a team of legal team to we come to a compromise. Now, he has been adamant about clearing his name because I have a personal experience of understanding. It's one of the worst things that can happen to someone.
Yeah.
And you know, he absolutely took the position there. He wanted a trial. He's not interested in any settlement. He's not here for the money. He's here to clear his good name that he has built over time. And in his profession, at this time, Anka also started doing one. So he always maintained that he wanted a trial to the point where sometimes there was a disagreement in the legal team. Now, procedurally, America, peace. Schedule there, and from this time to this time, staff that work out we are dedicating it to your case. It's no small matter.
I know. I've been there. It's not easy.
Before they will go to trial, there's mandatory settlement conference. I better say this maybe by this time we'll be say grown or they'll commit to the rights and senses and decide say this shouldn't go on because yes. And I acquire unfortunately me and ANAS disagreed with me, but I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million, just like the jury came back. As you know, these days we have all kind of tools that we can use to predict certain things.
Before you go ahead, this is where the contention is, and people saying 80 million, others saying a year 30 million. Now when you read,
well, we'll come to that. Let me clarify. Let me just clarify.
Yeah.
Okay. Complaint the coin. Yeah, claim for $30 million. $30 million.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And what I'm saying is that at the before the mandatory settlement conference, or before the jury is empaneled, even though my client had firmly informed me he had no intention of settling this case because he believes that he ought to go to a jury of his peers to clear his name. But maybe let's just prepare our settlement memorandum, be thorough and be reasonable.
Yeah.
And even though he protested, I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million US. Okay. Now you do settlement conference, papa about court. Now the lawyers just say what he was willing to settle this matter for, and they said $10,000. So honestly,
it's clarification is very, very important. Normally Ghana.
Okay.
Into Muko Drew Hono. ANAS initially, you kind of simple street language, and the damages are not paid around $30 million. And the client and ANAS Kasa say a woman saw pay $30 million, and yes, he can't all pay. In fact, he wants his name to be cleared, and then the priority of going to court.
Yes.
But because of the experience, now unim CB and your material, no client here ANAS Kasa and say it will be better and to be reasonable to at least settle on $80 million. And I'll say, no client and us, you did not really agree, but because he respects you as his counsel and as a lawyer, you people ended up around that money, around that figure, which is $80 million.
Oh yes, and like I said, your lawyer at Awemega, New York.
Oh, yeah.
And also come home.
For now,
And Andrew D here.
Yeah, you are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Wemega is there.
Yes,
D here is there. Crow is there. Yourself. Basically, as we are speaking to you, we are speaking to all of them because.
Yes. So,
yeah.
The whole team agreed on that, but he was the only reluctant one in settling the matter. But procedurally, we couldn't go to trial without actually going through to the settlement conference.
Yes.
Now, in spite of his reservations, we still almost cut our demand down to about a little over half.
Okay.
But to our surprise, Papa buy and also on over $10,000 to end the case.
No.
I want to arbitrate and I who said no, some way I'm sure so I can papers, So he said basically go and take your gamble in the courtroom. So that's how we ended up going to trial. So to go back to how it ended, so at about 4:50 on Thursday. And the jury brought us in and they told us what unanimously what they had arrived at. But we decided to keep it under wraps because there was a component you multiply 18 million by 5 money do 90 million for a total of about
that was the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah, because
to do that. Okay.
Yes. And then you decided to say but we are bold with coming public with the finding of culpability on Thursday.
Yeah.
We ended up leaving that alone. A pursuit of ×5 because almost file emotions be I just say or see a two in terms of that and sana say one way or another I go back I could pursue that ×5 and I say depending on what happens, maybe I between me German and cafe. But at this time, almost my court no say almost be into swore.
Okay. So at this point, my court who say beba 80 million or almost pentiswo. How many days do they have to file that? Okay.
So at this point, the next thing that's going to happen is that there's going to be a paper. A judgment. I just say court the seal better so.
Yeah.
That would take a few days, and then after that, I believe there's a 5-day rule that's within which you can file that motion. So a bay motion, appeal by appeal depending on how that motion goes.
Okay.
We will get a chance. We may get a chance to attempt to get our ×5 of that 18 million, or a big jam and so depending on how that motion goes.
So for now,
yes.
18, Obintiminka said that is the end of the case. It depends.
No, it's not because hypothetically, so much to grab back 10, we still have the opportunity to go for ×5.
That is 50. Okay.
Yeah, into call extra 50 plus. Yeah, hypothetically, so much to back 10, we can go for another ×5.
You as a Ghanaian and also a lawyer and defending a fellow lawyer who is a journalist. This has been an experience. Do you want to share something with us?
It's one of ANAS, the lawyers, and I say so Nick Kelvin Taylor, Adrian Como, Loud Silence TV. So, training more the details of the story. From the scratcher, ABC now, or more try, or my file case against Kennedy Agyapong, or more winning case in the back. They hope to file more cases for them to win their 80 million ×5 all kind of video. So basically, this is whole overview about the story, and it's not easy for Kennedy right now. It's not easy for Kennedy right now, but over any day, that is the decision of the court. My name is Mr. Showbiz. If today is your first time here, kindly subscribe. I'll give you more intimate updates and trends here. Be part of this. And I'm out.